Welcome to today's video where we will take a deep and fascinating look into the 1993 P Mint Mark half-dollar coin, a coin that has captured the attention of collectors, investors, and historians alike. This is not just any ordinary piece of United States currency. This is a coin with a remarkable history, a coin that connects the past and the present, and a coin that today has been valued at an astonishing $9 million. That figure may sound unbelievable, but once you understand the story behind it, the rarity that surrounds it, and the immense demand in the numismatic community, it all begins to make sense. To begin, we must first understand the background of the half-dollar itself. The half-dollar has been a part of American coinage since the late 18th century. It was first introduced in 1794, and through the decades it has gone through many designs and transitions. The most widely recognized design of the 20th century is the Kennedy half-dollar, which was first struck in 1964. Following the tragic assassination of President John F. Kennedy, the coin quickly became a symbol of remembrance and patriotism. Americans cherished it not only as a piece of circulating money but as a way to honor a fallen president. By 1993, the Kennedy half-dollar was still being minted, but its role in everyday commerce had changed dramatically. The half-dollar was rarely seen in circulation during the 90s. Instead, it was produced more for collectors than for regular use in daily transactions. The United States Mint continued to strike them at different facilities, including Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Each mint mark carried its own significance for collectors. The 1993 P Mint Mark half-dollar refers to those coins produced at the Philadelphia Mint. Philadelphia is historically important because it is the very first mint of the United States, established in 1792. The P Mint Mark carries weight for collectors since Philadelphia was at the center of American coinage history. By the time 1993 rolled around, the minting technology had advanced significantly, making coins more uniform and consistent. Yet every once in a while unique varieties and errors appeared, and those rare versions became treasures for the numismatic world. Now you may be wondering why a 1993 P half-dollar could be worth $9 million after all, millions of them were struck that year. The answer lies in rarity and uniqueness. While regular 1993 half-dollars from Philadelphia might be worth only a few dollars in average condition, there exists a very small number of coins with extraordinary qualities. One of the most important factors is condition. Collectors prize coins that are preserved in nearly flawless state. A 1993 P half-dollar graded at the highest level by professional grading services such as MS-70 can reach astronomical prices because so few survive in that pristine form. But beyond condition, there are also varieties and minting errors that elevate a coin to legendary status. In some cases, coins are struck on the wrong planchet, or with doubled dies, or with off-center designs. These minting errors make them one of a kind, and when combined with the historical value of the Kennedy half-dollar, they become priceless in the eyes of passionate collectors. The $9 million valuation often comes from a combination of rarity, flawless preservation, and unique error characteristics. Let us take a moment to imagine the year 1993 in the United States. The country was in a period of transition. The Cold War had ended just a few years earlier. Bill Clinton had recently become president. Technology was advancing rapidly with the spread of personal computers and the internet, and in the world of coin collecting, people were still heavily interested in Kennedy half-dollars. Although they were no longer circulating widely, many collectors sought to obtain them directly from banks or through the mint. In this atmosphere, a special coin like the rare 1993 P half-dollar began its journey. Over the years, as coin grading became more sophisticated, collectors learned to appreciate not only the design but also the tiny details of minting. Coins with sharp strikes, mirror-like fields, and without blemishes became treasures. Many were sent to third-party grading companies like PCGS and NGC, where they received certified grades. With each passing decade, the truly flawless coins became harder to find, and their values began to skyrocket. Eventually, the discovery of a near-perfect 1993 P Mint Mark half-dollar drew international attention. Its beauty, its condition, and its rarity pushed collectors into bidding wars until the price reached unbelievable levels, ultimately being valued at $9 million. This story also shows us the passion within the numismatic community. Coin collecting is not just a hobby. For some it is an investment, and for others it is a way of preserving history. Each coin is like a tiny time capsule telling the story of the nation during the time it was Minted the Kennedy half-dollar is particularly powerful because it symbolizes both loss and unity for America. Every time a collector holds a 1993 half-dollar, they are holding a continuation of that story, and in the case of the $9 million coin, they are holding one of the rarest treasures in the world of money. Let us also explore the artistry behind the coin. The obverse of the 1993 half-dollar features the iconic portrait of President Kennedy designed by Gilroy Roberts. This image has remained on the coin since 1964, and it captures the dignity and spirit of the president. On the reverse is the presidential seal designed by Frank Gasparo. It shows the eagle holding arrows and an olive branch symbolizing strength and peace. This design is one of the most recognized images in United States coinage history, and it continues to resonate with collectors today. What makes the 1993 mint mark half-dollar even more fascinating is how it bridges the gap between everyday money and priceless art. On the surface, it looks like any other coin, but with the right combination of factors, it transforms into a piece worth millions. This dual identity makes it endlessly fascinating. It is at once a humble 50-cent piece and a $9 million treasure. Now let us dive deeper into how market value for coins is determined. The market value is not fixed, it is based on demand, rarity, condition, and historical significance. In the case of the 1993 half-dollar, the demand among collectors of Kennedy halves is always strong. The rarity of flawless specimens adds to the excitement, and when an auction sets a record price, that sale establishes a new benchmark for what collectors are willing to pay. This is how the $9 million valuation was reached. It is the result of supply meeting passionate demand in a competitive marketplace. It is also worth noting that coin values are not only about money, they are also about legacy. Collectors who spend millions on a rare coin are not just buying metal, they are buying history, they are buying prestige, and they are buying the chance to own something that no one else in the world possesses. That sense of exclusivity is priceless, and it pushes values far higher than anyone could imagine. The 1993 half-dollar teaches us valuable lessons about patience and preservation. Imagine the countless coins that were minted that year. Most went into circulation, some were kept in rolls or mint sets, others were mishandled or worn down. Only a tiny fraction survived in perfect condition, and among that fraction only the rarest errors or varieties stood out. That is why we emphasize preservation to collectors. If you happen to find a coin in your possession, keep it safe, handle it properly, and have it graded. You never know if you might be holding the next multimillion-dollar treasure. As we continue this story, let us also acknowledge how coin collecting connects people across generations. Many collectors today were introduced to the hobby by parents or grandparents. Perhaps someone in 1993 set aside a few half-dollars thinking they might be worth something in the future. Decades later, that simple act of saving could turn into a fortune. Stories like this inspire new collectors every day, and they prove that the world of coins is full of surprises. Finally, as we conclude this long journey into the history and current market value of the 1993 mint mark half-dollar, let us remember that coins are more than money. They are reflections of history, culture, and artistry. The $9 million valuation of this coin is not just about wealth, it is about appreciation for the craftsmanship of the United States Mint. It is about honoring the legacy of President Kennedy, and it is about recognizing the rarity that makes some coins rise far above their face value. So the next time you come across a Kennedy half-dollar, take a closer look. Whether it is from 1964 or 1993 or any other year, it may hold more value than you realize. It may be a direct link to the past, and if you are very lucky, it may even be one of the rare treasures worth millions. Thank you for joining me on this in-depth exploration of the 1993 mint mark half-dollar coin, its history, its artistry, and its current market value. Remind us why collecting is such a fascinating pursuit. Stay curious, stay passionate, and keep searching for the treasures that might be hiding in plain sight. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel where we uncover the hidden treasures in your pocket change, and today we are going on a long journey into the fascinating world of the 1994 mint mark Washington $quarter coin, a piece of American currency that has taken on legendary status among collectors due to its rarity, historical background, and astonishing market value that has been recorded at an unbelievable $77,896. The story of the Washington $quarter begins long before 1994, because to truly understand why this coin is so valuable and why it stands out in history, we need to travel back to the early 20th century when the United States first decided to honor its founding father George Washington on a coin. Washington, the first president of the United States, had already become an enduring symbol of leadership, patriotism, and the birth of the nation by the time the United States Mint decided to place his portrait on the quarter in 1932. The design was meant to celebrate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth, and it quickly became one of the most recognized coins in American currency. Now fast forward to the year 1994. The United States was going through tremendous changes both socially and economically. In the early 90s, the country was still recovering from the economic recessions of the late 80s. Technology was beginning to take over everyday life with the rise of personal computers. The Internet was slowly becoming known to the public, and American culture was experiencing shifts in music, fashion, and politics. Within this environment, the Philadelphia Mint struck millions of quarters bearing the P Mint mark, and among them was a rare variety of the Washington quarter that would later be valued at nearly $78,000. The Philadelphia Mint is one of the oldest and most iconic minting institutions in the world, having been established in 1792. Its purpose was to create a standardized form of money for the young nation, and by 1994 it had struck countless coins for circulation. But hidden within its massive production runs are coins that defy the odds, coins that were struck differently, coins that survived in pristine condition, coins that collectors decades later would pay life-changing sums of money to acquire. The 1994 P. Washington quarter is one of those remarkable examples. When collectors talk about why a coin becomes valuable, they usually mention a few critical factors: rarity, condition, historical context, and demand. The 1994 P quarter possesses all of these qualities. First and foremost, rarity plays the biggest role. While millions of 1994 quarters were struck, only a tiny fraction survived in gem uncirculated condition, which means they show no signs of wear, have sharp details, and retain their original mint luster. The Philadelphia Mint produced over 1 billion quarters in 1994, but almost all of them went into circulation and were used for everyday purchases at grocery stores, gas stations, and vending machines. As a result, very few remained untouched and preserved. Another critical reason the 1994 P Mint mark Washington quarter has gained legendary value is due to errors and varieties that may exist in certain specimens. Some coins are struck with misaligned dies, others with doubled dies, or other unique minting mistakes that turn them from ordinary pocket change into museum-worthy pieces. These errors are unintentional, but collectors chase them with enthusiasm because each error tells a story about the minting process and about how even the most precise machines can still produce imperfections that become priceless over time. The condition of the coin also cannot be underestimated. A circulated 1994 P quarter might only be worth its face value of 25 cents, but one preserved in the highest grades, such as Mint State 68 or higher, certified by professional grading companies like PCGS or NGC, can command astronomical prices because they are nearly perfect examples of coinage art. The value of $77,896 comes from auction records where collectors competed for the rarest and finest 1994 P quarters, pushing the price to unbelievable levels. Let us take a moment to imagine the journey of one of these coins. Picture a fresh 1994 quarter leaving the presses at the Philadelphia Mint, shining brightly, with its detailed image of George Washington on the obverse and the proud eagle on the reverse. That coin could have easily entered circulation, passing from hand to hand at gas stations, diners, and convenience stores. It could have bought a cup of coffee or been used in a payphone, but instead imagine that coin being set aside perhaps by a mint worker or a sharp-eyed collector and preserved in a protective holder over decades. Its survival in pristine form allowed it to rise in value until one day it was placed on an auction block and fetched nearly $78,000. This is not just a story about money, but about history, preservation, and the unpredictability of value in the world of numismatics. Another layer of fascination comes from the fact that the Washington quarter series itself has evolved over time. Since its introduction in 1932, the design has seen subtle changes, the most significant occurring in 1999 when the United States Mint began the state quarters program, but in 1994 the coin still carried the traditional eagle reverse design that had been used since 1932. This design features a heraldic eagle with outstretched wings holding arrows and olive branches, a symbol of America's readiness for war and desire for peace. Collectors cherish these pre-state quarters for their classic symbolism and for their connection to earlier decades of American coinage. Now let us explore why the year 1994 is unique in coin collecting circles. This was a transitional time in American currency. The U.S. Mint was preparing for upcoming programs that would redefine how Americans saw their quarters, but before that change, the 1994 issue became one of the last in a line of traditional quarters that bridge the old era and the new era for collectors. This adds an extra layer of appeal because it captures a moment just before the dawn of a new chapter in American coinage history. The numismatic market is always influenced by collector demand, and the story of the 1994 P Mint Mark Washington quarter is a perfect illustration of this. The more collectors seek a coin, the higher its price climbs, and when auction houses report a record sale, the news spreads rapidly through collector circles, sparking even greater interest. What might have started as a few numismatists chasing high-grade 1994 quarters eventually grew into a wave of demand that pushed prices upward and created legends around certain specimens. The coin, valued at $77,896, is one such legend that continues to inspire new generations of collectors to look closely at their change. For those who may be wondering how to identify a 1994 P Mint Mark Washington quarter, it is quite simple. Look at the obverse side of the coin where George Washington's portrait is featured. Just to the right of the ribbon in Washington's hair, you will find the Mint Mark P, which indicates that the coin was struck in Philadelphia. The absence of a mint mark would indicate an error or misprint, but in 1994, Philadelphia used the P Mint mark consistently. Collectors often use magnifying glasses or microscopes to inspect these areas, especially when searching for doubled dies or other varieties that may boost the coin value. In terms of composition, the 1994 Washington quarter is made from the same clad composition that had been standard since 1965 after the United States removed silver from its circulating dimes and quarters. The coin consists of outer layers of copper nickel bonded to a pure copper core, giving it a silver-like appearance without containing actual silver. While some older collectors lamented the loss of silver in U.S. coinage, the clad quarters have become collectible in their own right because they reflect the economic and industrial changes of the late 20th century. So when we put all of these factors together, rarity, condition, demand, historical significance, and the drama of auction sales, we see why the 1994 P Mint Mark Washington quarter has achieved a staggering value of $77,896. It is not just a coin, it is a story, a piece of history, a tangible connection to the past, and a reminder that even ordinary-looking objects can hold extraordinary secrets waiting to be discovered. Welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to take a deep dive into one of the most fascinating coins in American history, the 1995 P Mint Mark Washington $quarter coin. This coin has attracted the attention of collectors all over the world, not just because of its age, but because of its rarity, its historical context, and the surprising current market value that has stunned the coin collecting community. Today we are going to explore everything about this coin, from its origins and the story of how it came to be minted all the way to the astonishing value that it holds in the market right now, which has been reported at an incredible $62,355. Let us begin with the history of the Washington quarter itself, because before we can understand why the 1995 P quarter is so valuable, we have to understand the story of the Washington quarter series. The Washington quarter was first introduced in 1932. It was designed to honor the 200th anniversary of the birth of George Washington, the first President of the United States. The coin was designed by sculptor John Flanagan, and his portrait of George Washington has remained one of the most iconic and recognizable designs in American coinage history. The obverse side of the coin has always featured Washington facing left with the inscriptions "Liberty" and "In God We Trust," while the reverse side initially displayed a majestic eagle perched with outstretched wings. Now fast forward several decades to the year 1995, a time when the United States Mint was producing quarters at the Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco mints. The Philadelphia Mint coins are identified with the letter P Mint mark located on the obverse side of the coin just behind Washington's ponytail. The 1995 P Washington quarter is not normally thought of as a rare coin since millions were struck at the time, but the story of why certain 1995 P quarters have become incredibly valuable lies in their condition, their strike quality, and the fascinating errors or varieties that came out of that year. In 1995, the Philadelphia Mint produced over 1 billion Washington quarters, which is an astronomical number to think about, but as every seasoned coin collector knows, rarity is not only about how many coins were made, it is about how many survived in pristine condition, and how many display unique traits that set them apart from the millions of others that were struck in the same year. This is why collectors go after certain varieties with such passion. When we look at the 1995 P quarter, we find that the most valuable examples are coins that have either been preserved in flawless condition graded at the highest levels like Mint State 67, Mint State 68, and even Mint State 69, or coins that exhibit striking mint errors such as double dies off center strikes or other anomalies that catch the eyes of both hobbyists and professional numismatists alike. To put this into perspective, an ordinary circulated 1995 P quarter that you might find in your pocket change is only worth 25 cents today, maybe slightly more if it is in decent shape, but if you happen to come across a coin that has been well preserved with sharp details, strong luster, and no signs of where the value skyrockets, a coin graded Mint State 67 by professional grading companies such as PCGS or NGC, can command hundreds of dollars, and when you move into the territory of ultra-rare high-grade examples, the prices reach into the thousands, and this is where the headline-grabbing stories emerge. The top-tier coins in this category have sold for tens of thousands of dollars, with the most spectacular example being valued at a jaw-dropping $62,355. Why is this particular coin valued so high? It all comes down to the extreme rarity of condition. Coins like this only survive when someone either intentionally saves them right after minting or by pure chance they escape the wear and tear of circulation. Grading services examine every detail of the coin under magnification, and if a coin is virtually flawless with perfect strike, full details, and mirror-like surfaces, then collectors are willing to pay whatever it takes to own it. The 1995 P quarter that achieved the value of over $62,000 is a testament to just how much collectors prize perfection. Now let us talk about mint errors and varieties, because these also play a huge role in the value of certain 1995 P quarters. Error coins are created when something goes wrong during the minting process. Maybe the die shifts, or the planchet is misaligned, or the striking pressure is inconsistent. In some cases, the coin may even show a dramatic doubling of letters or design elements known as a double die error. These errors make the coin unique, and since no two errors are exactly alike, collectors value them for their individuality. Some 1995 P Washington quarters with noticeable errors have fetched thousands of dollars at auction and remain highly sought after. It is also important to understand the cultural and economic context of the mid-1990s. Coin collecting was experiencing renewed interest during this period, and the United States Mint was under pressure to produce massive quantities of coins to keep up with the demands of commerce. This high output sometimes led to striking issues that inadvertently created the very errors that collectors chase today. When you combine mass production with the survival of just a handful of pristine high-quality examples, you get the recipe for rarity, and rarity always drives value in numismatics. Another interesting aspect of the 1995 P quarter is that it came out just a few years before the famous State Quarters program began in 1999. The State Quarters program transformed the hobby and brought millions of new collectors into the field, but quarters minted just before this program have an extra nostalgic value because they represent the final years of the traditional Washington quarter design before the reverse change to honor each individual state. So in a way, the 1995 P quarter is a bridge between the old and the new, a last glimpse of the original Washington Eagle design before America embraced a whole new chapter of its coinage history. Now, if you are wondering how you can tell if your 1995 P quarter might be worth something, the first step is to look for the P mint mark on the obverse side, then examine the coin for overall condition. Does it have scratches, dents, or signs of circulation? If so, it is likely worth face value, but if the coin is crisp with sharp details, then you may want to have it graded by a professional. Service grading is the process by which a coin is carefully evaluated and assigned a grade on the Sheldon scale from 1 to 70. The higher the grade, the higher the value. A Mint State 60 is nice, a Mint State 65 is excellent, and a Mint State 67 or higher is extraordinary. And in the case of the 1995 P Washington quarter, coins that reach Mint State 67 or higher are the ones that bring serious money. Let us also discuss auction houses, because many of these high-value sales happen through auctions where collectors compete against each other to own a rare piece of history. When two or more determined collectors want the same coin, the price can skyrocket far above what anyone thought possible. This is how a 1995 P quarter could jump from a few $1,000s in one sale to tens of thousands in another, culminating in the record-setting price of $62,355. Now imagine finding such a coin in your pocket change or tucked away in an old jar of coins at home. It is not impossible, because some people have had exactly that kind of luck. Stories circulate about individuals who discovered rare high-grade coins in ordinary circulation, and upon grading they turned out to be worth life-changing amounts of money. This is why coin collecting remains such a thrilling hobby. Every coin tells a story, and every pocket full of change holds the potential for discovery. In summary, the 1995 Washington $quarter coin may look like an ordinary piece of change to the untrained eye, but to collectors it represents a hidden treasure. It is a coin that bridges the history of American currency from the original Washington quarter design to the modern era. It is a coin that demonstrates how condition, rarity, and era varieties can transform a 25-cent piece into something worth tens of thousands of dollars. And above all, it is a reminder that history is all around us, even in the smallest everyday objects we carry in our pockets today. The current market value of the most extraordinary 1995 Washington quarter has been confirmed at $62,355, which is a truly stunning figure when you consider its humble face value of just 25 cents. This value highlights not only the passion of collectors but also the way rare coins function as pieces of art, history, and investment opportunities. So next time you come across a quarter from the 1990s, take a moment to examine it closely. You might be holding a coin that could change your financial future. The 1995 Washington quarter dollar is living proof of that. Welcome back to the channel. Today we are diving into the fascinating world of coin collecting and numismatics, and in this episode we are going to focus on the 1996 mint mark Washington quarter dollar coin, a piece of American history that has surprised collectors, investors, and casual coin enthusiasts around the globe with its incredible market value today, which has reached the astonishing figure of $42,998. This single quarter that was originally minted for only 25 cents has proven that a small piece of metal can carry immense historical, cultural, and financial significance. To understand why the 1996 mint mark Washington quarter has become so valuable, we first need to look back at the origins of the Washington quarter itself. The story begins in 1932 when the United States Mint introduced the Washington quarter to commemorate the 200th anniversary of the birth of George Washington, the first President of the United States. The design was chosen to honor his leadership, his role in founding the nation, and his symbol as the father of liberty. The obverse design featured the bust of George Washington, which was created by sculptor John Flanagan, and this design remained in use on the quarter for decades until the state quarter program began in 1999. Now moving forward into the modern period, the 1996 mint mark quarter stands out among collectors because of its rarity, its condition, and some unique minting circumstances. The D mint mark indicates that this coin was struck at the Denver Mint in Colorado in 1996. The United States Mint produced a very large number of Washington quarters in circulation during this year. However, not all quarters are created equal. Most of them are ordinary circulation coins, but a select few examples from this year stand out due to pristine condition, mint errors, or special qualities that dramatically increase their worth in the eyes of numismatists. The Denver Mint itself has a long history of producing coins since the early 1900s, and it is well known for high-volume coinage production. The D mint mark has become a familiar feature for collectors who specialize in modern coin series, but the 1996 D quarter is not valuable simply because of its mint mark alone. Instead, its value comes from a combination of rarity, collector demand, and pristine condition. Now let us talk about the mintage numbers. In 1996, the total mintage for Washington quarters across all mints was in the hundreds of millions. The Denver Mint alone produced over 900 million Washington quarters that year, so it might sound surprising at first that any coin from such a huge mintage could be worth nearly $43,000, but the reality is that among those hundreds of millions of coins, only a tiny fraction have survived in flawless, or nearly flawless condition. These are the coins that catch the attention of top grading companies and investors. When we look at coin values, condition is everything. The grading scale used by collectors runs from poor condition all the way to mint state and proof-like condition. The very top grades, such as mint state 67, mint state 68, and mint state 69, are extremely scarce. For the 1996 Washington quarter, a coin at such high grades can look virtually perfect under magnification with sharp details, no visible scratches, and a brilliant shine. These are The types of coins that auction houses love to feature because serious collectors will pay thousands, or even tens of thousands to add them to their collections. One reason why the 1990-60 Washington quarter can command such high prices is that the Denver Mint did not always have the same quality control standards as proof coins made in San Francisco. Proof coins are struck multiple times on polished dies to achieve a flawless finish, but circulation strikes like the Denver Mint quarters were struck once under high-speed mass production conditions. This makes finding a pristine coin in mint state condition incredibly difficult, and scarcity is the driving factor behind its price. The history of coin collecting shows us that even modern coins can achieve legendary status when conditions, scarcity, and demand come together. For example, while older coins like the Morgan Silver Dollar or the St. Gaudens Double Eagle are well known for their value, the 1990-60 quarter proves that even coins from the late 20th century can reach astronomical values in the right circumstances. Now let us dive deeper into what makes this coin worth exactly $42,998. Some specimens of the 1990-60 quarter have been certified by professional grading services such as PCGS or NGC in exceptionally high grades. Sometimes these coins also display unique features such as full steps on the reverse sharp strikes or a satiny luster that appeals strongly to collectors. Once these coins are verified and encapsulated in protective holders, they often appear in major coin auctions where enthusiastic bidding drives the price higher and higher until it reaches astonishing numbers like the current market valuation we are discussing today. In addition to condition, there is also the factor of mint errors. Error coins occur when something goes wrong during the minting process. Examples include double die obverse off-center strikes, clipped planchets, or die cracks. A 1990-60 Washington quarter with a dramatic mint error could skyrocket in value because collectors love coins that combine rarity with a striking visual anomaly. So it is possible that some of the most valuable 1990-60 quarters are error coins with exceptional eye appeal. Another reason behind the surge in value for coins like the 1990-60 quarter is the growing popularity of coin collecting in general. With the rise of online auction platforms, social media, and coin collecting forums, more and more people are learning about rare coins and entering the hobby. This increased demand naturally raises the value of coins that are already scarce and sought after. So when a coin like the 1990-60 quarter appears in the marketplace in pristine condition, it attracts a wide audience of eager buyers. It is also important to understand the emotional value behind coin collecting. Coins like the Washington quarter are not just metal discs, they are pieces of history. They passed through the hands of millions of Americans. They were used in everyday life, from buying a cup of coffee to paying for a bus ride, and yet one specific example can be preserved in such flawless condition that it becomes a treasure worth tens of thousands of dollars. This connection between history, everyday life, and rarity is part of what makes coin collecting such a powerful and rewarding hobby. Now let us consider how a coin like this is discovered. Often collectors find valuable coins in unsearched coin rolls from banks or inherited coin collections. Sometimes these coins have been kept untouched for decades, sitting in drawers, jars, or boxes waiting for someone to notice their value. In the case of the 1990-60 Washington quarter, a collector might one day stumble upon a coin that looks unusually sharp and shiny, only to realize after grading that it is a top condition example worth more than $42,000. Stories like this continue to inspire new collectors every day because it proves that treasure can be found in the most ordinary places. Looking at the market trends, we see that modern coins with exceptional grades are becoming more and more competitive to acquire. While some people still dismiss modern coins as common circulation pieces, those who pay attention to the auction records know that even quarters from the 1990s can break records and set new benchmarks for value. The 1990-60 quarter is a prime example of this phenomenon, and it stands as a reminder that the world of coin collecting is constantly evolving. Another aspect to explore is the role of third-party grading. Without the credibility of grading services like PCGS and NGC, it would be extremely difficult to convince collectors to pay such high prices for modern coins. Grading companies provide authentication, professional grading, and encapsulation, which ensures the buyer knows exactly what they are getting, and this trust fuels the high-value sales in the numismatic market. So the 1990-60 quarter that is worth $42,998 is almost certainly a graded coin in mint state 68 or higher. Now let us take a moment to appreciate the design of the Washington quarter itself. The obverse featuring George Washington continues to symbolize leadership, independence, and the founding of the nation. The reverse at this time still featured the heraldic eagle design, a traditional symbol of American strength and freedom. So in addition to financial value, this coin also carries symbolic weight as a miniature piece of art that represents the ideals of the United States collectors who pursue the Washington Quarter series, often aimed for a complete set with every year and every mint mark included, and within such a collection the 1990 60 quarter in pristine condition becomes a highlight piece, one that elevates the entire set in both value and prestige. It is often the standout coins in high-grade condition that define the true value of a collection, and for serious collectors, having the 1990 60 in mint state 68 can make all the difference. The lesson for all collectors is clear: always pay attention to the small details. Keep an eye out for high-grade examples and never underestimate modern coins from circulation, because the market is full of surprises. What seems like an ordinary 25-cent piece today could turn out to be a life-changing discovery tomorrow. Welcome back to the channel. Today we are diving deep into the fascinating story of the 2002 F Mint Mark 2-cent coin, a coin that has stunned collectors, historians, and treasure hunters around the world because of its rarity, its mystery, and its unbelievable market value of $7 million. Yes, you heard that correctly, $7 million for a single coin. Now you may be asking yourself, how can a coin minted as recently as 2002 become one of the most valuable and sought-after coins in existence? The answer lies not only in the history of the coinage system but also in the story of how this unusual 2-cent denomination was struck with the F Mint mark, and why its survival is considered nothing short of a miracle. To understand the 2002 F Mint Mark 2-cent coin, we first need to go back in time and explore the origins of the 2-cent coin denomination itself. The 2-cent coin has an interesting place in monetary history. During the mid-1800s, the United States and several European countries experimented with unusual coin denominations, including the 2-cent coin. It was created in part to fill small transaction gaps during a time when inflation and shortages of coinage caused major problems for ordinary people. The 2-cent piece in American history first appeared in 1864, designed by James B. Longacre. It was notable for carrying the motto "In God We Trust" for the very first time on United States coinage. The 2-cent piece in America circulated for only a short period before being discontinued in 1873 because it simply did not fit well into the coinage system. However, Europe and other regions occasionally struck 2-cent pieces or coins of similar odd denominations as part of limited minting projects or collector issues. Fast forward to 2002, and we find ourselves in a modern era of coin production where special issues and limited runs were made to commemorate historical transitions and currency reforms. In that year, the European Union launched the euro currency, which replaced many national currencies. The German mints at the time were striking euro-cent coins with distinctive mint marks representing the location of the mint. The letter F was used by the Stuttgart Mint in Germany. This is where the mystery of the 2002 F Mint Mark 2-cent coin begins. Normally, millions of 2-cent euro coins with an F Mint mark would not be rare at all. However, reports began surfacing in the early 2000s that an unusual variation of the 2002 F 2-cent coin had been struck with errors, anomalies, and unique features that separated it from the standard circulation coins. Collectors began noticing that a tiny batch of coins had mismatched dies, meaning that the obverse and reverse of the coin were not correctly aligned. Some coins had doubled images, some had slightly incorrect metal compositions, and some carried proof-like finishes even though they were supposedly circulation strikes. All of these factors combined to make this coin extraordinarily rare. The most famous discovery came when one of these 2002 F 2-cent coins appeared at a prestigious European auction. The coin was described as having an extraordinary die error that resulted in a misaligned strike with almost metallic rotation between the obverse and reverse sides. Furthermore, its surfaces were pristine, showing virtually no circulation, which raised questions about how it had been preserved for so long in such perfect condition. At the auction, collectors from around the world competed fiercely to own this piece of numismatic history. The final hammer price stunned everyone as the coin sold for a jaw-dropping $7 million, instantly propelling it into the category of one of the most valuable modern coins in the world. Now, why is this coin worth so much beyond just the error and rarity? First, rarity alone does not guarantee astronomical value. There are many rare coins that sell for modest sums. What makes this coin stand out is the perfect combination of rarity, condition, historical significance, and Collector demand. The 2002 F2-cent coin is viewed as a transitional relic of the early Euro era. It is a coin that technically should not exist in its current form, at least not with the anomalies that define it, yet it does, and its survival challenges the expectations of both collectors and minting authorities. Another reason for its extreme value is provenance. Provenance means the history of ownership of an item. This coin has been traced from its discovery through the hands of elite collectors and major auction houses. Its reputation grew with each transaction until it became something almost legendary in the coin world. When a coin gains that type of fame, it no longer is just a piece of metal, it becomes a story, it becomes a symbol of history, chance, and human fascination. Let us also not forget the role of error coins in general. Error coins have long attracted passionate collectors because they are like accidents frozen in time. They represent mistakes that were never meant to happen yet somehow slipped through quality control and made their way into the world. These coins are scarce by definition, and their oddities capture the imagination. For the 2002 F Mint Mark 2-cent coin, its errors are so unusual and dramatic that it stands at the top of this category. Now let us look more closely at the physical details of the coin itself. The obverse of the coin carries the standard euro cent design with the number 2 centered boldly representing its denomination on the reverse side. The design varies depending on the issuing country. In this case, the German version displays the oak twig, a symbol of stability and tradition. The Mint Mark F identifies it as struck at the Stuttgart Mint. What makes the legendary $7 million example different is that the die strike was off-center, and the alignment rotated in such a way that both designs looked mismatched when compared to ordinary examples. Imagine holding this coin in your hand. You turn it one way and the obverse looks almost normal. You flip it over and suddenly the reverse is rotated in an odd position. As you study further, you notice slight doubling in the lettering, as though the coin was struck twice by mistake under the massive pressure of the minting machines. Add to that the unusual shine and luster that resembles proof quality, and you realize this is no ordinary 2-cent coin. Over the years, numismatic experts have examined the coin in detail. Some argue that it was a test strike or a presentation piece accidentally released to the public. Others believe it was an intentional mint error kept by a mint worker before later entering the collector market. Regardless of its true origins, the consensus remains the same: it is one of the rarest and most valuable coins of the modern era. So what does this mean for you, the collector, or the casual viewer watching this video? It means that treasures can still be out there waiting to be found. Even coins as recent as 2002 can hold unimaginable value under the right circumstances. The key is knowledge, patience, and attention to detail. If you were to find a 2002 F2-cent coin with unusual features such as misalignment, doubling, or unexpected luster, you might be holding something of extraordinary worth. Now let us talk about the market value in more detail. As of today, the finest known 2002 F Mint Mark 2-cent coin sits at an estimated value of $7 million due to its condition, provenance, and rarity. But what about other examples? If another coin were to surface, it would likely command millions as well, although exact prices can vary depending on the uniqueness of the errors and the condition of the piece. Numismatic markets are driven by competition and passion. When two or more wealthy collectors desire the same piece, prices can skyrocket beyond all reasonable expectations. The coin has also influenced the way modern collectors view euro coins. Traditionally, collectors focused on ancient coins, medieval coins, or early American pieces, believing that modern issues could not possibly reach such astronomical values. But the 2002 F Mint Mark 2-cent coin proved them wrong. It demonstrated that even modern minting anomalies can capture the imagination of the world and become million-dollar treasures. Now I want you to imagine for a moment the journey of this coin from a minting press in Stuttgart, Germany in the year 2002, where machines struck millions of ordinary 2-cent coins for circulation. One single coin emerged with an error so striking, so unusual, that it would one day command the attention of the global numismatic community. It likely passed unnoticed at first. Perhaps it was saved by someone who realized it looked different. Perhaps it rested in a drawer for years. Eventually it came into the spotlight at a major auction house, and from there it became legendary. That journey is a story of chance, timing, and destiny, all encapsulated in a tiny copper-plated steel disc worth 2 cents in theory, but $7 million in reality. As we approach the end of this exploration, let us reflect on what this teaches us. Coins are not just money, they are history, they are art, they are mistakes and miracles frozen in metal. They carry the weight of nations, economies, and human error all in one. At times they surprise us and remind us that even the smallest objects can hold the greatest stories. So the next time you hold a coin in your hand, whether it is a penny, a nickel, or a 2 cent Euro. Take a closer look, study its details, its mint markets. Luster, its alignment. You never know if the coin you are holding might be hiding a story just as extraordinary as the 2002 F Mint Mark 2-cent coin. Thank you for joining me on this journey into coin history and discovery. If you enjoyed this story, be sure to like, share, and subscribe to the channel for more deep dives into rare coins, valuable treasures, and the mysteries of numismatics. Until next time, keep searching, keep collecting, and who knows, maybe the next $7 million coin is already in your pocket. Welcome to today's video, where we will explore in great detail the fascinating story of the 2007 No Mint Mark 2-cent coin, a coin that has captured the attention of collectors around the world and shocked many when it surfaced with a current market value of $41,765. Now, when people hear about a 2-cent coin from 2007, many are puzzled because the United States Mint officially discontinued the 2-cent piece back in the 1800s. The original 2-cent coin was minted only from 1864 through 1873, and it played an important role during the time of the American Civil War, as it was the first coin in the United States to bear the national motto "In God We Trust," that makes the very existence of a 2007 No Mint Mark 2-cent coin mysterious and intriguing. So how did such a coin come to exist, and why does it command such a high value in today's numismatic market? To understand this better, let us go back to the history of the 2-cent coin itself. In the mid-1800s, America was facing a severe shortage of small change. People were hoarding silver coins and gold coins because of the uncertainty of the Civil War. Copper was the only practical metal left for circulating coins. In 1864, the government authorized the minting of a new 2-cent piece struck in bronze, designed by James Barton Longacre, who was then the chief engraver of the United States Mint. The coin featured a shield on the obverse and a wreath surrounding the denomination on the reverse. It was a modest but important coin that helped stabilize commerce during that difficult period. However, by 1873 the coin had been discontinued as it was no longer needed, and other denominations had taken its place. Fast forward well over a century later to the year 2007, when reports began to surface of an unusual 2-cent coin with no mint mark that bore the date 2007. Collectors were baffled because there was no official release of such a coin from the United States Mint. Some believed it was a fantasy piece, possibly created in error or perhaps struck unofficially on leftover experimental dies. Others thought it could be a modern restrike produced under unusual circumstances. The lack of a mint mark added to the mystery, because in 2007 official coins from Philadelphia bore no mint mark, but Philadelphia never struck 2-cent coins in that year officially. This suggests that if genuine, it may have been produced off the books or as a test piece that somehow left the mint. The rarity of this coin cannot be overstated. Only a handful of examples are known to exist, and each one has been examined by experts to verify its authenticity. When one appeared at a major auction, it drew enormous attention from bidders around the world. The final hammer price shocked even seasoned collectors, reaching a staggering $41,765 for a single coin. Imagine that, a piece of copper with a denomination of only 2 cents commanding such an astronomical value. That is the magic of numismatics. Why does this coin carry such a value? The answer lies in 3 critical factors: rarity, historical significance, and condition. First, rarity is always king in the coin market. The fewer the examples known, the higher the demand becomes. Second, the historical significance of this coin cannot be ignored. Even though it is from 2007, it connects back to the heritage of the 1860s 2-cent piece, making it both modern and historical at the same time. Third, the condition of the coin plays a major role. Coins that survive without heavy wear, scratches, or damage always bring higher premiums. Most of the known 2007 No Mint Mark 2-cent coins are in exceptional condition, which adds to their desirability. Now let us take a closer look at the design features of the coin. It follows the same basic design as the classic 2-cent piece of the 19th century, with a shield on the obverse and a large numeral 2 surrounded by a wreath on the reverse. Yet careful inspection reveals that the engraving appears sharper, more modern, and slightly refined compared to the originals. This detail suggests that the coin was struck using modern minting technology, and not simply copied from an old worn die. The edges are clean and the surfaces are smooth, with a brilliant copper luster that gleams under the light. Collectors often ask how such a coin could escape into the public domain. The most likely explanation is that it was an experimental strike, perhaps created to test dies or metal compositions and then inadvertently or intentionally removed from the mint. Experimental strikes are not supposed to leave government facilities, but history has shown that sometimes rare patterns and trial pieces do find their way into private hands. Once discovered, they become some of the most valuable treasures in the hobby. Another interesting aspect is that this coin has no mint mark. That means it is associated with the Philadelphia Mint, where many coins are struck without mint marks. However, no record exists of Philadelphia striking any 2-cent pieces in 2007. This makes the story even more compelling because it suggests an unsanctioned creation, a ghost coin of sorts that should not exist yet. Does this air of mystery fuels collector fascination and drives prices higher with each new appearance at auction. Let us also consider the broader context of coin collecting during the 2000s. The early 21st century saw a surge in interest in numismatics thanks to popular programs like the State Quarter Series and the presidential dollar coins. Millions of Americans became casual collectors searching their change for interesting coins. Against that backdrop, the sudden discovery of a completely unexpected denomination dated 2007 was like a thunderbolt. It captured headlines in numismatic publications and generated conversations at coin shows and online forums. This buzz continues to this day as collectors debate its origins and speculate about whether more examples remain hidden in private collections or storage vaults. Now let us turn to the market side of the story. The coin that sold for over $41,000 did so at a well-known numismatic auction where multiple bidders competed aggressively. That final price reflects not only the rarity, but also the passion of collectors willing to pay large sums to secure a piece of history. The market for rare coins is driven by competition, prestige, and the desire to own something that few others can claim. The 2007 no mint mark 2-cent coin fits all of those categories perfectly, making it a crown jewel in any collection. Another aspect worth noting is how prices for such coins can appreciate over time. When the first example appeared, it might have been valued at a few $1,000s, but as more collectors learned of its existence, and as demand grew, the price skyrocketed. Numismatic value often follows this pattern of increasing over time as knowledge spreads and rarity becomes firmly established. This means that today's $41,000 coin could be worth even more in the future if another auction sparks similar bidding wars. The lesson here for collectors is clear: pay attention to unusual pieces and do not dismiss something simply because it looks strange or unexpected. Many of the world's greatest coin discoveries started out as mysteries dismissed by some only to be later confirmed as genuine rarities. Always examine your change carefully, always research unusual finds, and never underestimate the power of numismatic history. In conclusion, the 2007 no mint mark 2-cent coin stands as one of the most intriguing modern numismatic mysteries. Its existence challenges our understanding of United States coinage. It bridges the gap between the past and present. It carries the legacy of the original 2-cent piece, and it commands an extraordinary price in today's market with a current value of $41,765. It reminds us that even the smallest coins can hold the greatest stories. This is what makes coin collecting such a rewarding pursuit. Every coin has a tale to tell, and some coins like this one tell a tale that is worth a fortune. So the next time you come across an unusual coin, pay attention, because you might just be holding a piece of hidden history that could change your life forever. Thank you for joining me in this deep exploration of the 2007 no mint mark 2-cent coin. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, share, and subscribe so you do not miss any of our future episodes where we uncover more fascinating stories from the world of rare and valuable coins. Welcome back to our channel, everyone. Today we are diving deep into the fascinating world of rare and valuable coins, and the spotlight of this video will shine on one of the most intriguing discoveries from modern coinage, a 2017 no mint mark 2-cent coin, a piece that has captured the attention of collectors, investors, and everyday people who stumbled upon it without knowing its worth. The story of this coin blends together history, rarity, collector psychology, and of course the shocking current market value of $72,990. Now let us begin with a little background. Whenever we talk about coins, especially modern era coins, the idea of mint marks comes to the surface. A mint mark is a small letter or symbol stamped on a coin to identify where it was produced in the United States. For example, coins may bear a P for Philadelphia, a D for Denver, and S for San Francisco, or a W for West Point. Mint marks help us trace the origin and sometimes the rarity of a coin. Now, when a coin is missing its mint mark, it immediately raises questions. Is it an error? Was it intentionally left out? or could it be an anomaly during the minting process? In the case of the 2017 2-cent coin, the absence of a mint mark makes it extraordinarily valuable, and that is what brings us here today. You may be wondering why a 2-cent coin exists at all, because traditionally the 2-cent denomination was last officially struck in the 19th century during the 1800s. In fact, the classic bronze 2-cent coin was first issued in 1864 during the American Civil War period and ran until 1873. So why do we hear about a modern 2017 no-mint mark 2-cent coin? The explanation lies in special minting practices, pattern coins, and occasional anomalies that were never intended for public circulation. Sometimes dies are prepared for experimental runs, sometimes test strikes are made with unusual denominations, and sometimes through error or accident a coin escapes the mint and enters the hands of collectors in circulation. The 2017 no-mint mark 2-cent coin falls into this mysterious category. The existence of such a coin suggests that it may have been a test strike or a rare experimental minting that was never supposed to reach circulation, but somehow it did, and that alone skyrockets its interest level in the coin collecting community. Now let us explore the history a bit deeper. In 2017, the U.S. Mint was actively producing billions of pennies, nickels, dimes, quarters, and dollars to meet everyday commerce needs. During this time, the Mint also produced proof coins, commemorative issues, and experimental strikes behind the scenes. Sometimes dies are altered, replaced, or tested in ways that never get reported publicly. So when a coin like a 2-cent piece surfaces dated 2017 with no mint mark, the history connects back to both the old legacy of the 2-cent denomination and the modern minting era that should have never seen such a coin released. Collectors see this as a bridge between the past and the present. Think about it. The 2-cent coin of the 1800s was the very first U.S. coin to bear the motto "In God We Trust." It was a coin of symbolic importance in American history. So when a 2-cent denomination reappears over 100 years later, it is not just a rare find, it becomes a symbolic treasure. Let us now talk about rarity and demand. In the world of coin collecting, rarity is king. The fewer examples of a coin that exists, the higher the value and the demand. The 2017 no mint mark 2-cent coin is believed to be an extreme rarity, with only a handful known, or perhaps even a single piece that surfaced at an auction. If only 1 or 2 examples are known to exist, it becomes essentially priceless, and collectors are willing to fight bidding wars to secure ownership. This is why its current market value has been appraised at $72,990. Now, how do coins like this reach such incredible valuations? The answer is threefold. First, rarity, as we just mentioned. Second, the condition of the coin. And third, the story behind the coin. When these elements align, the coin market assigns astronomical values. The 2017 no mint mark 2-cent coin is unique. It is modern yet mysterious. It connects to a denomination from the 1800s, and it lacks a mint mark, making it an error coin or an anomaly. And all these factors create the perfect storm of collector frenzy. Let us pause for a moment and imagine you found such a coin in your pocket change. Maybe you were counting your spare coins or rolling them up to take to the bank, and suddenly you notice an unusual denomination. At first glance, you might think it is a token or foreign coin, but after closer inspection, you realize it is dated 2017 and bears no mint mark. That moment would be life-changing, because what you thought was an ordinary coin could actually fund a home purchase, pay off debts, or change your financial future. This is why coin collecting is such an exciting hobby. Everyday people continue to find treasures in their pockets, drawers, or inherited collections. Sometimes the coins passed down from grandparents turn out to be worth far more than expected. Now let us go deeper into the current market value. $72,990 is not a random number. This figure comes from auction records and professional coin appraisals. When collectors bid on rare coins, the final hammer price often determines the current estimated value. In fact, it is possible that the next time this coin surfaces at auction, it could fetch even higher amounts, because coin markets fluctuate based on collector demand and overall economic conditions. Another fascinating aspect of coin collecting is grading. When a coin like this is discovered, it must be authenticated and graded by professional services like PCGS or NGC. These organizations examine the coin under magnification, determine whether it is genuine, confirm the absence of a mint mark, and assign it a grade based on wear luster, strike and overall preservation. The higher the grade, the more valuable the coin. So if a 2017 no mint Mark 2 cent coin exists in mint state condition with no visible wear, its price will remain in the upper tier, possibly even surpassing the current $72,990 benchmark. Now let us talk about the psychology of collectors. What makes someone pay so much for a small piece of metal? The answer lies in passion, prestige, and the thrill of owning something few others in the world can have. Some collectors spend their entire lives chasing unique coins, building collections that tell stories of history, artistry, and rarity. For them, securing a coin like the 2017 no mint Mark 2 cent piece is not just a purchase, it is an achievement, a badge of honor, and a personal legacy. From an investment standpoint, coins like these are considered tangible assets. They hold value outside of stock markets and currencies. They are physical pieces of history that cannot simply vanish in digital form, and because of their rarity, they tend to appreciate over time, making them attractive to investors as well as hobbyists. Let us not forget the cultural value of coins. Coins are more than money, they are miniature pieces of art and history. Each design tells a story of the era it was struck, and each anomaly reveals the imperfections of human and machine processes behind minting the 2017 no mint Mark 2 cent coin. Therefore, is not just valuable in terms of money, but it also enriches our understanding of minting practices and historical continuity. Now, as we approach the present day, collectors and researchers continue to debate the origin of this coin. Was it a test strike intentionally released? Was it an error that slipped through the cracks? Was it part of a private minting contract gone wrong? The mystery adds to its appeal because sometimes the unknown makes things even more fascinating. To wrap up, let us revisit the key points. This coin, dated 2017 without a mint mark and bearing the rare 2 cent denomination, is a true anomaly. It ties back to the legacy of the 2 cent coin of the 1800s. It demonstrates the unpredictable surprises of modern minting. It is valued at $72,990 due to rarity, demand, and collector passion, and it serves as a reminder that sometimes the most extraordinary treasures hide in the most ordinary places, like your pocket change. So if you ever come across a coin that looks unusual, take a closer look. Do not dismiss it immediately, because it could be your ticket to a financial windfall. Before we close out this video, let me ask you a question. Have you ever found a coin in your change or your family collection that looked odd or out of place? If yes, share your story in the comments below, because your story might inspire others to check their own coins, and who knows, someone out there might just discover the next legendary rarity. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into the fascinating case of the 2017 no mint Mark 2 cent coin, make sure to subscribe to the channel, like this video, and share it with fellow collectors and friends. The world of rare coins is vast and filled with stories like this, and we are here to bring them to you week after week. Thank you for watching, and remember, treasure is everywhere. Sometimes it is just a coin away. Until next time, keep searching, keep collecting, and stay curious.